Greetings, Starseeds and Lightworkers. Ava here, and today we have a question from one of our viewers around the topic of sex. They want to know, what are the spiritual effects of sex? Does it affect your vibration frequency? And do you get bound somehow spiritually? So this is a great question, and those of you who are new, welcome here. I'm going to go ahead and go straight out and put you in touch with the Pleiadians. Here we go. Greetings, this is DiYeena of the Pleiadian Family, and we are here today to bring the love. We love this question around the sex, you see, because when you talk about the sex, we have to really think about what is really happening here. You see, there has been quite a lot of perversion in the frequency in your world around the power and the intent of the act of sex. You see, and the act of the love making, you see. And so you are really working in the world of polarity to create. This is the very basics of the foundation of life itself, of creation itself, of the third dimension itself, and the power of this particular dimension, the particularity of being in the form, has to do with the mastery of alchemy over the polarity of the masculine and the feminine frequencies. You see, in whatever forms these take, the frequencies themselves are where the power is in the alchemization of that, the union of that, of those frequencies coming together. You see, is what creates anything you desire. You see, so this is what is really available. You see, and so most people play in this world unconsciously. They do not play in it in a conscious way. They are not consciously creating, whether it be a child or otherwise. They are not using these powers, these innate powers within the form, to create, to rise the frequency, and to actually use it for creating or manifesting. You see. This is a very powerful manifestation tool, the sexual act, you see. Not everyone relates to it this way. You see, but your question is slightly different. You see, you're wondering more about what happens with the two humans when they come together. You see, what is the impact of the two frequencies coming together in that particular way, you see. And so it depends on what dimension you're playing in, because when you are working at a certain level of frequency, it is all one energetic at play. And then when you break it down into the more fractal consciousness, that is when you are relating with two particular fractals, choosing to come together, you see, to have an experience. And then there is a merging of those fractals, you see, and the places of that merging. And so you see, for everyone it is going to be a little bit different. But yes, there are energetics at play that come into and reside within both forms, you see. And this is something that is developed more over time, but it happens even with a kiss, you see. You are bringing your forms together, merging your forms, and the act of bringing the polarities together to create, even in that moment, you see. And in that moment, you are creating, and the physical energetics are coming together, and those are creating a new frequency in consciousness. So you are constantly creating new frequencies. You see, when you bring in and relate with other energetics, it creates a new note. You see, the two sounds come together to create a new note, a new frequency, a new form, a new experience, a new arrangement. You see, so when there is even the kiss, there is the act of sex. You see, especially when it is over and over and over, you see, you are strengthening that particular sound in consciousness, that particular note or that particular frequency or vibration. And so it is creating a form. You are creating form over and over and over again, to where there is really literally a bonding happening in the fields that is real. It is creating a frequency and a force that is very much almost on a tangible level, you see. So when there is what you call a breakup, you see, or where the two forms choose to go different ways at the time, there is a residual energetic print in the field that is still present with both people, you see. And it is a little bit of that person, a little bit of that person, but it is more what is happening when the two come together that is what is remaining. And that is what is still felt by each person, you see. And some people feel the need to quote unquote clear this, you see, or to go back to the way that it was before. And it is not necessarily that we are clearing it in the way of wiping the slate clean, you see. Because consciousness chose to have that experience. So it is about embracing it as a part of the experience, you see. So we are constantly alive. We are constantly creating. We are constantly being recreated. Every cell in our body is constantly recreating itself and creating a new opportunity for a new frequency or a new sound. And this involves all the other people that we come into contact with as well, are helping to shape and form that new sound. And so everyone is a part of that, you see. And so some people have more of an impact depending on how we choose to relate with them. And then the sexual act is one of the most powerful ways that we can relate with another person. And one of the most powerful ways that we can have an impact on that individual sound, so to speak, you see. And so those two sounds come together, they create a new note. They create a new frequency in both of the people. And that is now part of the new sound for both of the individuals, you see. It is a new part of creation. It is a new part of the whole experience of the breath of life. You see, so working with it rather than saying, okay, do we now have to clear this out and cut the cords and all the things and remove ourselves from this frequency because now we are deciding that we once loved the person and now we hate the person. And now we are going to just cut everything off, you see, and pretend like it never happened, you see, and clear ourselves and make sure we are also holier than thou as we move into our next relationship. This is the way people like to talk about it, the cutting of the cords. And you can relate it to that way in a certain sense. And sometimes there are physical energetics at play, depending on the relationships and the contracts within each particular soul. But that is not necessarily exactly what we're talking about, what we touch on it, because it is so interrelated. And there are times when the souls make contracts to where they are almost merging parts of their souls. You see, not everyone makes these contracts. You just say, we're going to help create new sounds a little bit. But other people say, the soul is going to get a little bit blurry, you see. We're going to put a little bit, you see, we're merging the souls a little bit. And it's for their own purposes. Everyone is so different and unique in their expression and why they come and what they're doing, that sometimes the souls decide, yes, we need to be in more than one body, you see, to make sure that we do the mission. You have no idea what is happening there. You see, why these things happen. Sometimes they are for the positive role of the entirety of the mission of the why the people come in the first place. Other times, it is more in a codependent, unhealthy way. So it is a fine-tuning of tuning into why there is the access or the availability or the allowance to have the intertwining to begin with. You see, what is the intent? What is the contract? What is the agreement between the two of you that has created the overlapping of the energetics in an unhealthy way? You see. And you will know if it is an unhealthy way, if it feels codependent, it feels sticky, it feels icky, it feels... it doesn't feel right in the body. Sometimes you have a completion with the partner and it just feels like, yes, it is time to move on, you see. And that is when you know it is more, the two of you are just simply creating new notes together. You see, in other times it feels a little bit like, a little heavier in the form. And you feel like, there is something else at play here. And this is where oftentimes, this is when you get on a soul-to-soul level, there is an overlap in energetics and more to the story, so to speak. And this is where it takes a fine-tuning in the listening ears to ask the question. And you can simply go in and ask yourself. We had a little conversation about the higher self. And now we can go ask your higher self. You can ask yourself, let's put it this way. Ask yourself, the fullness of yourself, what was the agreement here with this person? And if you're quiet enough and you listen, you will hear an answer and you just trust it. You trust the answer. You trust that what you are hearing is accurate, you see, and you do not go into all these mind games of like, oh, did I hear that? Did I really hear that? Is that accurate? Am I sure? How do I know if it? You just really let the body inform. You see, you let the consciousness inform and you trust it. So when you get the answer, then you can work with it a little bit more and say, okay, we are coming together for this particular purpose, and this is what needs to happen in order for that purpose to be fulfilled. Sometimes that involves, relating in a new way. And sometimes it means coming into completion in a new way or a different way. And so it can look a lot of different ways, but it is always done through love. And this is the important thing, is that it is never like a shutting down or a shutting off or a moving away from, out of any other energy other than love. If it is coming from another energetic, it is not complete. It is not complete. The karma will continue to move through in new cycles, you see, because there is still more to play out there. If you are holding any kind of anger, resentment, worry, fear, any of these kind of emotions, anything other than a pure energetic of love, when you are in that place, then you know that there is a completion there. And that is when you can move and you can clean up the energetics in a good way, in a complete way, and say, okay, we are done with this cycle completely. So, maybe that stirs up some more questions. We see in the comments if that is clarifying, or if it just opened up another can of worms. You see, sometimes we have these things happen too. You see, but this is the basics of the sexual conversation. But there is always more to talk about, you see. So we leave it in what we call bite-size pieces. Maybe this is more than a bite. Maybe this is a little bit more of a mouthful, but we will see. We love you all very dearly. And this is the Pleiadians. Oh, I trust that message was exactly what you needed to hear today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, or you can head over to the website in the link below and ask your question for our next episode. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and thank you for being a part of this community. We love you all so much. Blessings.